The housing market is in rough shape right now. Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the only way back to affordable housing, and I'm going to say this right now, you guys, is through recession. And so today we're going to talk about recession. We're going to go over an article, and I'm going to explain to you guys my opinions with facts, data, and experience. Now, we're going to make this video as I am on a beach vacation, and what better time to go to the beach when there is a winter cold front with 30-mile-an-hour winds and an average feel temp of 45 degrees. But what I'm gonna do, guys, is let me tell you the name of the article as I put this in park and let the kids out. You guys can go play with those sand castles real quick. Now, we're gonna read an article from Market Watch that's titled, "Some Home Buyers Are Hoping for a Recession to Bring Down Housing Prices. Are they right?" Now, this is a very interesting article because I think it's going to be an article where it's going to be easy for us to determine that these people that are writing these stories have clear financial bias because of all of the things that they're going to leave out in this article. Now, also, I want to show you guys a picture of the author. Take a look. Now, I'm not trying to pick on her, I'm not trying to be mean, but you guys, I'm 41, and most people, oh my gosh, and most people can tell that I'm 41. I'm saying that because I was in my early 20s during the global financial crisis, and I want you guys to do me a favor, comment below. Is this author, do you guys think that the author is old enough to have ever gone through a recession before? Any real recession? The COVID recession wasn't real. It wasn't real. So you guys got to pay attention. This is a great article to sniff out biasness, but I want you guys to participate in this video throughout it. I'm going to try to stay alive. They wanted to go check out those sandcastles. I'll show you guys the sandcastles because apparently they're so great. Look at the sandcastles, you guys. That's the only thing you can afford. This is the only shelter most people can afford. Now, the article is going to talk about how people are intentionally waiting for a crash, and I'm like, no, people are forced on the sideline because they cannot afford to buy a house. I think that's clear, but we're going to go over the data points, we're going to go over the article. You guys stay tuned and do me a favor for braving it out here in this cold and dragging my family in this freezingness. Like the video, comment on it, share, and either way, learn. The housing market is extremely, extremely dangerous right now, you guys. The housing market is closed. And again, the housing market is so emotional that I believe that most people, if they could afford to buy a house, they would. My son is driving off. Not sure what that's about, but I'm gonna read a little bit of this article and you guys tell me what you think about this propaganda. And real quick, look at this right here. We're gonna build this video up, you guys, very, very slowly, just like this crane here is building whatever that is very, very slowly and wasting our tax dollars. But this article states, mortgage rates are falling, but home prices remain high. That dynamic has prompted some prospective home buyers to say that they're holding out for a recession because they expect an economic downturn will force home prices to fall. And I'm gonna tell you guys, most people are not like me and not like you. Most people cannot purchase a house because they do not have the purchasing power. I think that this article so far, the way it starts, is complete propaganda. Let me move on to the second paragraph. And I don't know, they parked, you guys can see, I don't know what my son's doing. I think he wants me to walk in the cold as revenge for the sandcastles and breaking them. I did not show that on camera because I did not want to discourage you guys from home ownership. The article says that these people might be in for a long wait. 3 economists in Market Watch spoke to her and said that unless the job market takes a sharp negative turn and many people start losing their job, a housing market crash is not in the cards and home prices aren't going to fall very much. And I'm gonna tell you guys, right now, every single recession, the unemployment rate has skyrocketed. So what is this article talking about? We need to go into recession. I'm kind of at the point, you guys, that the only way to get the housing market back to an affordable place is through recession, and that is super sad. I don't want people to lose their job, but they will. Listen to this nonsense right here. In fact, depending on the severity of it, a recession could even increase home prices, making it even more expensive to buy a house. But not in this market when the PE ratio is historically high, the national payment to income ratio is historically high. They are trying to squeeze blood out of a stone, and I think I see red fish over here jumping and not 100% sure. But let me show you guys some data, starting with the unemployment rate. And if you guys can, email this to the author. I've highlighted the trajectory of unemployment in red during the recession. You guys can see, even my children can see. I will go get my children, as long as they don't drive away from me, and I will have them tell you that they understand what I'm saying. Look at all of the recessions and look at the trajectory of unemployment. If we go into recession, odds are we will have unemployment, and that will lead to distressed sales, which will bring prices down. Every single time we go into recession, skyrocketing unemployment. Data point number 2, personal real income adjusted for inflation is sitting at a whopping $42,220, and that is lower than it was in 2019. Raise your hand if you can buy a house right now, a $350,000 house, making $42,000 a year. You guys can't even afford to pay your taxes making that much money.
Unemployment skyrockets during recession.
See, unemployment skyrockets during recession. We got a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, 18-year-old, everyone gets it. Let's go back into the article. Trump administration official says policies are worth it even if they trigger a recession. And that is the truth, you guys, and that's why I've been talking to you guys for 2.5, 3 years, trying to prepare you guys for what's about to happen so that you guys can make it through any potential job losses and potentially still get a deal of your dreams. That is what I want for you guys. Now, home buyers hoping for a recession are in a challenging situation. The housing market is extremely bifurcated. The U.S. housing market is mired in a state of unaffordability. Homes in America have become so expensive that many fed-up home buyers are choosing to hold off on buying until there's either a drop in mortgage rates or home prices, and this is what it's leaving out. Or they can qualify for the loan, because they can't do that right now. I know that because I've been a mortgage loan officer for 20 years. The median price of a home sold in early March was about $382,000 with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage of 6.63%. A buyer has to pay about $2,800 a month in mortgage payments alone. That is not accurate. I'll throw up a mortgage calculator here in a second. Even though mortgage rates are broadly falling, mortgage application data over the past few weeks has shown that most home buyers aren't tempted. And see, this is where they're getting it wrong. It's not that they're not tempted. Again, it's that they don't qualify because a tiny little drop of a ½ point in interest rates is nothing compared to the massive price increases for these houses and property taxes and homeowners insurance. In fact, some say they are waiting for a crash as they're opening to get in the housing market. In December, a LendingTree survey said 36% of the respondents wanted a housing market crash. See, I don't agree with that. I think 100% pretty much of people, except if you purchased recently, you don't want this, but 100% of people, even if you already own a home, you want a housing market crash because eventually you will have lower property taxes and lower homeowners insurance that is strangling current homeowners right now. It's also saying 29% of renters said a crash would be the only way they could afford to buy. Among people who said they want a housing market crash, 11% said they believe that a housing market crash would lead to lower property taxes. You guys, just property taxes? Some people are happy with just lower property taxes, especially in Harris County. That's what I mean about affordability. I can find price points in my market at 2020 price points. Right now in Houston, call me up if you don't believe me. The problem is when I calculate property taxes and homeowners insurance, the payment goes up like $1,500 a month. And 8% said a crash would help them buy a home. I mean, this survey is an absolute joke. At the same time, recession fears are mounting as the Trump administration makes big moves for escalating a trade war against foreign countries to downsizing the federal government. Investors have been spooked. Good, we want them out of the housing market. We don't need institutional investors in the housing market or even Airbnb, sending markets into bear market territory and sparking concerns of a possible recession on the horizon. The Trump administration has done little to calm those fears, with both President Trump and Secretary Scott Bessent downplaying a recession. Now let me throw up a mortgage calculator and let me show you how off that article really is. Now you guys see here that I've used 382,000 just like the article. I'm using 6.63%. Now look at below that, I'm putting property taxes at 1.5%. I'm putting the homeowner's insurance at about $2,750. With that home price, that's about right, should be. Now I'm doing the PMI, which they didn't include. You guys can see at 0.35. Now the total payment is not about $2,800. It's almost $3,300 if you don't live where I live, because it would be much higher. But really what I want to point out is look at to the right. Look at all of the payments you would make on a $382,000 loan. You would be paying back $1.15 million. So go ahead, go buy a house if you don't believe me. All the realtors crying in the comments, go buy a house. It makes it better for me. So please go buy a house right now. We want you to. Look at the property taxes, guys. I really want you to think about it. Property taxes are against the Constitution. Property taxes go towards the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world, which is the Department of Education. I'll get to that maybe a little bit later, but $171,000 in property taxes. Wow. So next part, I'm gonna get out of the wind. We're gonna go in a little bit of a sanctuary because I got a lot to talk about. And I wanna show you guys some inventory data points. And again, remember you guys, as I'm going through this, I want you to tell me if you guys can spot the clear financial bias. Widespread job loss could lead to softening prices, a phenomenon we have not seen in a long time. Now, I highlighted that because remember you guys, in 2010, we still had price decline. That means it takes only 10 years, just one decade, for people to forget what happened. Literally 10 years later, people think it's impossible, even though 5 times in history, we've had nationwide home price decline. This is nothing new. The chief economist at Realtor.com said the recession comes in a variety of flavors, and the flavor plays a role in how the housing market will be impacted. The 2 more recent recessions alone provide broad scope of possibilities. The pandemic-induced recession of 2020 was a lot more gentle on the housing market, probably guys because it only lasted 2 months. Then the global financial crisis of 2007 and 2009, between February 2020 and April 2020, the US economy faced widespread closures of businesses to stop the spread of the coronavirus. At the time, home sales fell sharply for that 2 months, but after the 2 months, sales recovered quickly and even surged thereafter. Home prices also surged over the period as buyers snapped up homes at ultra-low interest rates. But during a lengthier and more severe recession more than a decade earlier, home sales slowed and remained slow for a prolonged period of time. The financial crisis was caused by reckless mortgage lending, which led to subprime mortgage crisis, and millions of homeowners lost their homes to foreclosure. Home prices had begun falling even before the recession began in 2007 and continued to do so 8 months after the recession ended, falling by more than 20%. Neither of those scenarios is similar to what home buyers could face today if a recession happened, which is an absolute lunatic thing to say. The housing market has been facing 2 years of rock-bottom home sales due to a persistent shortages of homes for sale. Homeowners are not interested in giving up rock-bottom mortgage rates that they got during the pandemic. That has also resulted in demand outpacing supply. On top of strong demand for homes, which allows homeowners to sell for a good price, people who own properties also have a big financial buffer in the form of their current home. The average homeowner with a mortgage gained $4,100 in equity in the last quarter of 2023 and 2024 and had $303,000 in total home equity by the end of 2024. I'm calling BS on that. If you guys own a home, let me know if you have over $300,000 in equity. I do not. If there was a short recession without widespread job loss and the government stepped in to support consumers, as it did during the pandemic with stimulus checks and other measures to prevent foreclosures, home prices might not fall at all. On the other hand, if many homeowners lose their jobs during a downturn or feel increasingly stressed financially and are unable to pay their mortgages, recession could prompt a surge in homeowners putting their homes up for sale. And that's exactly what I believe is gonna happen. Now, also, you guys, again, the article is not accurate. We have more inventory in some markets than we had pre-pandemic. Let me start by showing you guys Texas. And depending on the data source, Texas is the 4th biggest housing market. You guys can see, again, right now, active listings, this is not even new homes, we have 105,000. That even exceeds many years prior to COVID. So Texas has more inventory than we've had in what, 10, 15 years? And also, not only that, look at Florida. Florida has been skyrocketing. There's a big problem happening in Florida, and it's not people that just don't want to buy a house. America has given up. America no longer cares about the housing market because everyone is lying to them, and everyone knows that the only way we can get back into affordable homes is through a recession and deflation and prices going down. Everyone knows it. And the people that don't have just completely given up entirely or are just priced out completely. And it's not only that, look at the inventory for new homes. We're sitting at, as you can see in this chart, 9 months of inventory for new homes. So the amount of new homes right now, you guys, is staggering, and this data is underreported. I've been traveling around the nation with Melody Wright, and I've been showing you guys that, as well as in my own backyard. Some of these communities, I found 2 to 3 times more inventory than what's listed on the Census Bureau or even New Home Source. That's not to say that there aren't housing markets that do not have enough inventory historically. That's mainly on the East Coast. If you guys look at New York, New Jersey, Maine, and areas like that, they need a lot more help than the states I just showed you. Now, Florida and Texas has one really major thing going for it that those other states don't, which is overwhelming amounts of new construction clusters. Tell me so far whether or not you think that that article is doing a great job at painting the overall broad picture of the housing market, or are they kind of staying in that propaganda, keep buying if you can just afford a house? Now let's go into the part of the article that's actually going to try to scare people, at least in my opinion, is going to try to scare people into purchasing a home. Falling home prices have not always accompanied recession. Overall, home prices tend to be pretty resilient based on how they have historically performed. And we're going to look at that historical performance here in a minute. A 2019 study by Zillow, which is complete garbage in my opinion, which looked into recessions in all 50 states in the US between 1996 and 2018. And real quick, guys, why would they go back to 1996 and stop? When 1990, we had nationwide home price declines in a recession. Again, they went to 1996. Just go to 1990 so you conclude the nationwide home price decline. Again, remember, 5 times in history, we've had nationwide home price declines. 1990 was one of those times. Although it wasn't that much, it still had nationwide declines, massive declines in some areas. Even when overall economic activity slowed down, home prices mostly grew. The one notable exception where prices did not grow was the 2007 and 2009 recession, which was a result of a subprime mortgage crisis. Again, see, they didn't even go back to 1990, and that was a result of many different things, especially these hedge funds and Wall Street straight up lying and dooming themselves. It was more about speculation than it was about subprime, because remember, you guys, most of the short sales and foreclosures and defaults was not from subprime. It was from conventional. Look at the numbers. The underlying housing market is a different place compared to 2007. Unlike the global financial crisis, the typical home buyer is in a much more stable financial position with very low mortgage payments and much higher housing wealth. Very low mortgage payments. Can someone tell the author that we have historically high mortgage payments right now, especially when we compare it to income? Can someone tell the author that? Historically low mortgage payments? About 7 in 10 homeowners have an outstanding mortgage with a rate below 5% as of the third quarter of 2024. As a result, in the event of a mild economic shock, mortgage delinquency rates are likely to remain low, and the flow of homes coming on the for sale market could fall, preventing a large-scale decline. Let me show you guys some data now. The first one being the home price to income ratio. Right now, you guys can see all the way to the right. Let me start by showing you guys why I think that this recession, we're gonna have a massive plummet in home prices, even though some areas don't have as much inventory historically. It's because the overwhelming unaffordability and the fact that prices broke fundamentals and therefore cannot be sustained. Right now we're sitting at, according to this data, 7.3 years of salary to pay off a home. Going back to 1955 on this graph, you guys can see that right here, we've never had a PE ratio this high. So all of the recessions, I want you guys to know this, all of the recessions that they mentioned and did not mention, the PE ratio right now is much worse. Think about that. And that's just the price to earnings. In other words, guys, we have never, ever, ever had a bigger housing market bubble than we have right now. And you guys, this wind is deadly cold. Now, the last section of this article is again gonna try to convince you that right now is a good time to buy because home prices are probably gonna go up if we go into recession, even though I showed you the bubble. It's literally a double bubble. But let me read the last of this and I'm gonna show you some data on why home prices went up to begin with, which some people forget. We had 2% interest rates and stimulus. The government was paying us crazy money that people used as a down payment. Home prices went up during the pandemic era recession. Nevertheless, don't rule out the possibility of a recession creating a home price crash. There it is. Generally, if a recession is accompanied with significant job losses, that could be a jump in for sale inventory, which would lead to lower home prices and drive up foreclosure activity, like I've been saying my last couple of videos. Whatever home prices will go up or down largely depend on what's going on in the labor market and the rate of unemployment. If there's a spike in unemployment, home prices could come down, she proclaimed. If there's a jump in for sale inventory, but not just for sale inventory, yes, for sale inventory, but distressed sellers that can no longer afford to keep their house. The unemployment rate crept up to 4.1% in February. Unless you look at the pulse surveys, it's much higher, around 15 to 20%. Again, the pulse surveys, you guys can look that up on the census. On the other hand, if a recession hits the US economy and mortgage rates drop, but people remain mostly employed, we could see something like the pandemic era recession and the impact on the housing market where home prices go up. So you guys can see right after and through the last recession, the lockdown recession, rates were in the 2%. The personal savings rate all the way to the left, some people were saving 30% of their income, you guys, and we had historically low inventory. That's why prices went up so high. The article is saying that we could be in the same situation as last time with low interest rates and stimulus, and somehow that's gonna drive prices up. But I'm telling you guys right now, that's not true because that's already happened. We have to pay for that now. We need a reset. Things have to start over. But I wanna end this video talking about the solution. Most people right now should be holding tight. I think one of the most important things right now is to maintain what you're doing and to maintain your purchasing power, fix your credit, your income, and your assets. And also, you guys, whatever you do, do not trust realtors. Most of them, not all, but most of them are just petty clown salespeople. A lot of people don't realize that realtors are just sales associates. Their job is to sell. They're not advisors, they're not economists. Their goal is to convince you to buy something so that they can earn a commission. In other words, guys, don't use your emotions, use the data. I have multiple courses for you guys. Join the Empowerment Center. I just finished another course on how to use the data to find a great deal. I'm trying to decide, should I offer it for free or not? I want to offer it for free, still haven't decided. Comment below, should I offer my new course for free? I love you guys. I had to take a break. I'm sorry for the delay. But regardless of all of that, you guys, I'm gonna drink some hot chocolate and some marshmallows up there. And if you guys are out there investing in real estate, you guys already know I wish you luck. And I hope you win.